Hi, everybody. It's Erica from In the Company of Cards. Happy Friday. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber or visitor, welcome back. Would love it if you would subscribe, share, like, all of those things. Helps the channel grow and costs nothing. So I'd appreciate that. You can also find me over at Substack. I know a lot of you have already done that, and I appreciate that. So if you go over to Substack, which is unaffiliated with YouTube, sometimes people will ask me that. I don't see where that is on YouTube. It's its own thing. You just put it into your search engine, Substack, and it'll pop up. You can put my name in, or you can put in the company of cards, and it will take you to where I write generally once a week. So thank you for those of you who are already over there, um, and for your kind comments about my work. So this will be a short session today because there are essentially two things that I want to look at. I've looked at both of these things before, but because we are on the eve of them, I thought it might be a good idea to give them one last look. So the first thing that like to look at is tomorrow. Tomorrow, as you know, is the second of the 50-51. So, 50 protests in 50 states for one cause. This is the resistance protests that are happening all over the country. And they are scheduled, aside from all of the ones, the pop-up ones that seem to be happening everywhere. This is an official day. It is meant to be on the 19th. I think that's right. Yeah, tomorrow's the 19th. I also want to look at the 20th. Uh, People will feel called upon to apprise me of the fact that this is Easter weekend. I am well aware. Thank you. But I don't know. Does injustice take a holiday? You know, do bad guys take holidays? Pretty sure they don't. So the fact that it's Easter, I am curious to see whether the fact that this is Easter weekend I'm wondering whether it will dampen the enthusiasm for the protests. Protests, again, seem to be growing in size and in strength and in voice and volume. And I'm just want to see if tomorrow will be any exception and whether there's anything we need to worry about in terms of tomorrow. The other thing that I want to look at, of course, is the day after. But we'll get to that when we get to that. And yes, the day after would be Easter Sunday. I am aware. Okay. So we're going to look first at the 19th, tomorrow. And I'm going to use the garden. And the garden will collectively stand for this second official major day of resistance and protest. So that's going to be our significator card is the garden, and we'll just see what's around it. Okay. Okay. Pardon my knitting basket over to the side there. Okay, so we're looking for the garden. Oh, popped right up. So there's the garden. It can be the center card because I pulled two cards in front of it. So those two cards will be in front of it, but this will be our center card, which is a good thing. And then the two cards that come after it. Okay. So I am going to pull clarifiers, and so I'll talk about everything once I've pulled everything. Okay. So off we go. All right. So our cards, our original cards are the book, the clouds. This stands for the day of resistance, the day of protest. Um, the moon and clover. Okay. So I think that, like everyone, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty as to how this will go. The first one was big because it was what? The first one. Will people be able to maintain momentum this Saturday? That's the question. So we don't know because that's the book tells us we don't know. But I did pull clarifiers on everything. Again, this is doubts. People are saying not necessarily about themselves, but about other people. They're saying things like, "Well, but I have to get Easter dinner ready," or "but like I have to get the kids ready for church," or "but like I have to," et cetera, et cetera. So people are wondering whether their neighbors will actually come out. Here's the event, a series of events, because it's all over the country. But I really like these two cards. I actually think, yes, people will come out. And I think they will come out in numbers that will surprise us in a good way. I mean, of course, the other side will be surprised too, but not in a good way. But these are my cards and my reading. So Spirit's saying, oh no, in a good way from your perspective, Erica. So we are really starting to um, show ourselves and everybody else who it is we want to be. And that is not under the thumb of you know who. Okay. So let's go back to our book. This is the line that is the furthest to the left. So if I were going to look at this in a chronological way, I would say this is how we are going into tomorrow. Um, because tomorrow, of course, hasn't happened yet. So this is how we've been thinking about tomorrow. Gee, I don't know. What's it going to be like? Is it even going to go forward? Is it still a thing? But in fact, yes, it goes forward. It's a thing. And the message that will be both given and received, is the rider, the card for message, is that we have many fish in the sea. If there are people who need to take the time off because of Easter, for whatever reason, then the second wave and the third wave of people will take their place. This will be like a rolling wave. There are many fish in this sea. So I like that. So far, so good. Okay. Clouds. Remember, clouds tend to be, doubts. Clarifiers for that are birds, scythe, and stork. So people have been talking amongst themselves, saying things like, I'm going, are you going? Or I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm going to go. Are you going to go? That's the conversation that they've been having. Okay. But this is for a card for conversation. But decisions have been made. Stork is positive change. You know what? It's a holiday, which means that we actually could have even more people come out than came out last time. I like this card. All right. Now, these are all of the protests around the country tomorrow. The clarifiers are the snake, the scales, and the heart. I just want to remind people as they go out tomorrow. I put up a link, I think, for last week, and the link is, I'm sure, still good. So click the link. It gives us some advice on how to conduct yourselves. But, it's just common sense things like wear sunglasses, wear a hat, wear a mask, uh, leave your phone at home or get a burner phone. If there is a critical number that you've not yet memorized, write it on your person, meaning, write it on your hand or your arm or something, whatever. Uh, Go with a group. Um, be peaceful. Don't create anything that would give anybody any cause to do anything, if you know what I mean. Because certain people are itching to show everybody who's boss. But, may peace and justice prevail. May the numbers be great. And again, this is about our love of justice, or, our purported love of justice. Who do we want to be? So the snake is a concern. So take precautions. If you've not gotten any nonviolence resistance training, that might be something to look into for the next time around. Okay, the moon is our fourth card, and the clarifiers are fox, dog, and whip. Again, don't love this so much. 45 will want to, again, swing around his mushroom. You see mushrooms in my card. If you know, you know. He'll want to swing around his mushroom and let people know that who the boss is. And these are, I like the dog until I don't. One of the meanings of dog, normally the dog is like a relative or a friend or someone that you can uh, go to for advice and counsel. It's an attorney, etc. But one of the meanings of this card is the police. And I think that when I say police, I'm not just talking about the police, but people who may be, you know, I don't know, deputized or something, like Blackwater people. There will be people out there who are um, looking for a fight, looking to be aggressive. That's a whip. So again, what I said to you in the previous line still holds. Be careful. Just be careful. It's interesting when we have the fox together with the dog. These look kind of the same, except if you went to I don't know, the SPCA to get a pet and they offered you a fox or a puppy, pretty sure you choose the puppy. There's a reason for that. I don't love this card in this position here. Uh, this is a card of self-delusion, but it's also a card of deceit and trickery. So I'm saying don't give the police any cause to, let us see what happens when American citizens with passports and birth certificates in hand get shipped to God knows where. Don't give them any cause for that because they're itching for it. The last line is really nice. So we have clover, and the clarifiers are the star, the bouquet, and the sun. I think sufficient people will come out that more and more people will say, you know what? Being out here really is the right thing to do. And let me get out there. And if I don't make it to this one, let me try for the next one. Because I think things will be very clear. Kind of like when Harvard took its stand and other colleges and universities felt able to say, oh, well, they took a stand. Maybe I can take a stand too. Maybe I should take a stand too. So I really like this very much. And this first card, whatever is unclear about whether people are going to come out, whether people are really serious about this, whether the thrill is gone, etc., it will be abundantly clear that people mean business because I can mirror these two cards. The other thing I did, which I always do with this spread when I'm reading, for example, for clients, This is my own 23 card spread where I pull a line of 5 and then I pull clarifiers. But the final thing that I always do is I pull a postscript. You've seen me do that before. And that serves the purpose of answering the question, is there anything else I can tell people about tomorrow? Yes, there is. The cards, the cards are mice, tower, and man. Um, I think tomorrow will be putting 47 on notice that the crowds willing to storm the Bastille and Versailles, his palace, are growing. So that's the Bastille. And if that's Versailles or Mar-a-Lago or whatever, he needs to be afraid of the people's power. And he is. He is. He's somebody who thinks he can read the room. And in a lot of ways, he's been able to do that. That's how he's risen to where he's risen to. But he's slipping a lot. And he's not able to read the room as well as he thought, obviously. And when you can't read the room and you can't act on instinct, which is what he does, he just acts in the moment uh, and does what feels good to him. If you can't exercise that facility, that ability, and you don't have anything else to back it up, yeah, you're going to be afraid. So I love that for him. Here's the thing, though. An animal, when it is afraid and when it's cornered, as we all know, is at its most dangerous. So, to put this particular question to bed, I do think there will be large turnouts tomorrow to equal or surpass what there were last time, 2 weeks ago. So there's that. I do think that there will be people on his side who've been sort of formally or informally deputized, and there is the potential for violence. So don't give anybody any room to think that they could be violent towards you if you're going to go. And again, Black people, stay home. When I say stay home, I know that a lot of people were like, wait, what? We need everybody out there. I think we need to see all colors. Oh, I'm sure we need to see all colors. I'm sure you like that. Here's the thing. Black people staying home is not about cowardice. It's not about fatigue. It's strategy. It's strategy. And I explained this 2 weeks ago. If we're out there, trust and believe that whip will be wielded by the powers that be that have been deputized. So we're letting the choir take over. We're letting the understudies do it. Black people stay home. And again, nobody has to do what I say. I'm not the boss. It is my best advice. So again, as I said, I think these demonstrations are making 47 fearful. And I think, as we all know, animals that are fearful are at their most dangerous. Think of a cornered rat. Think of a dog cornered. Think of that fox cornered. And so this brings me to the next and last thing that I want to discuss today, which is what will happen on the next day, which is the 20th. That is, yes, Easter Sunday. Now, why is this day important? Okay, it's Easter Sunday. We've got that out of the way. Number two, it's Hitler's birthday. And for people like 47, that is a symbolically significant day. Entertainment purposes only. I mean, he supposedly has Mein Kampf as his bedside reading, so there you go. But more than that, April 20th will mark 90 days since his inauguration when he tasked his um, Secretary for Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, with issuing reports. These are separate reports that these two people have been tasked with submitting no later than April 20th. What are these reports about? These reports are meant to be the assessments of these two secretaries of the situation at the border. What situation at the border, you may ask? The the uh, the undocumented immigration situation at the border. And not only are they meant to sort of assess how things are there, they are meant to advise 47 on Sunday, no later than Sunday, as to whether or not the time is right for him to both, I'll use the Supreme Court language, facilitate and effectuate mass deportations. Now, what does that mean? It means, does he have the right and is the time right for him to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807? What is the Insurrection Act of 1807, you might ask? Hopefully you're not asking, hopefully you know. But just in case you don't, I won't give the history of it so much as to say why it's important right now. This is a law that allows 47 to declare martial law. By the way, may I help you with the spelling of that? Martial law does not refer to a guy's name. Therefore, the spelling of it is not Marshall, as I have seen in my comments. No. It's martial law, Martial. Martial is an adjective for military. Okay, so that's the language lesson for today. Martial law means that you can call out troops, call out the military in the homeland, in America, to help out with stuff. And what would the stuff be? Well, helping with deportation at the border, and two, going to blue states, which are where there are lots of sanctuary cities, and enforcing 47's decree that ICE get rid of everybody who's undocumented. And this could mean, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago when I discussed this, they can go door to door, knock on everybody's door, and look to see whether you're harboring someone. Now, I also mentioned, I haven't seen it done, but I mentioned it, that there are preemptive measures that governors of states can take to sort of circumvent Trump's attempt to implement martial law. And that would be that states can deploy their National Guard. Even without a task, they can just say, we want the National Guard to be on standby. And if anybody asks why, you can say something like, well, I mean, he did gut FEMA, so, and the CDC. So as governor, I am deploying my National Guard to help FEMA and the CDC with things like, I don't know, measles outbreaks or whatever. Now, if governors do this, then it means that the National Guard of a particular state is now locked in under the authority of their governor. And 47 can't say, excuse me, no, I need them over here. can't do that. Now, states like California can do something like this. States like Arizona can do something like this. A state like Texas or Florida, they could do it too, but guess what? They won't. They won't. But that is one remedy, is to deploy the National Guard in advance of 47's declaring martial law and then deploying them himself. So I guess what I want to look at now, we know, I mean, here's what I don't have to look at. We know good and well what Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth are going to tell 47 in their report. You don't have to have a crystal ball, which I happen to have. You don't have to have a crystal ball in order to know that they're going to say, oh, yeah, things at the border are really bad. And, what would they say? Something like, these illegals, they would call them, these illegals are coming over like, I don't know, cockroaches on a birthday cake that's been left out. That's what they'll say. So yeah, you have every right, and the time is now. Call out the National Guard. Why do I say that they're going to say that? Because that's what he wants them to say. I mean, right? Okay. So the question is not, will they advise him that the situation at the border is dire enough such that he would be justified in calling out the National Guard or declaring martial law. The question is, will he declare martial law either tomorrow or in the next few days? That's the question. Now, I'll tell you what's so interesting is that the demonstrations are tomorrow because they could be a precipitating factor in his decision as to whether or not to call martial law. So I think what I'm going to do for martial law, I will use the whip. Okay, you know what? It was freezing in here. Now it's not, so I'm going to turn the heater off. My blood has grown California thin instead of East Coast thick. So I needed the heater. But anyway, I'm going to use the whip. In a lot of ways, I love that card. It's the card of the writer, the card of the athlete. Uh, it's the card for anything that requires discipline. It's the card for arguments, but it can also be a card for violence, as can the scythe. But I'm going to use the whip, and that will stand for martial law. And I just want to see if it looks like his declaration of it is at all imminent. Okay. Remember, we're looking for the whip. And then I will let you get about your Friday, and hopefully you'll get some rest if you're going to be marching tomorrow or standing or whatever, demonstrating. We will be cheering you on. Okay, this is possible martial law. These are really interesting cards, so interesting that I can't wait to show them to you before I draw clarifiers. So we have the mice, we have the bear, we have the whip, which is the card for martial law, we have the clover, and we have you know who. Why do I want to show you these before I pull clarifiers? Well, this is so interesting. As we saw earlier in the reading that I just did about the 19th, when when I did the postscript and I showed you this card and I said, he's scared. Well, I shuffled the cards, and yet, even though they're not next to each other, I can mirror the fact that he's afraid with him. So he is scared. These demonstrations scare him, as they should. Entertainment purposes only. Just because they make clear the will of the people. Please God, I hope. Okay. Second card is the bear. This is him. This is another iteration of him. He is the narcissist in chief, entertainment purposes only. And I can mirror this with Clover. Now, we saw Clover in the other reading as well, and there it was good. It was great. But now it's not. This is about one of the meanings for Clover is haste. This narcissist may very well be driven, called to act hastily on the subject of declaring martial law. Remember, he will have seen the demonstrations the day before. He'll be mad about that. People will be loud and clear about their disapproval, we'll call it, of him and his administration and their actions. So he doesn't sleep, right? So he will have seethed about this all night. Um, he will be scared of the people. And what do animals do when they're scared? They get up on their hind legs and they roar. And I think he will feel the urge to be hasty and give very heavy consideration to declaring martial law either Sunday or shortly thereafter. But um, let's look at the other cards. He will have advisors, by the way, who say, "Oh, maybe not. It's too soon, etc." But I don't know whether they will dare to do that. I mean, if you're in his administration, you're already a yes man and a yes woman. So, yeah, entertainment purposes only. So, who will dare to say to him, "Oh, not yet." Let's see what the cards say about this declaration of martial law. Okay. So I drew clarifiers for each of those original five cards. And as you recall, the first original card was mice. This is his fear. Clarifiers are the lily, the tower, and the moon. So, yes, people will see how scared he was, people around him, his coterie of, you know, people, and they will try to pacify him. This is a card for peace, calm. By the way, it's also a card for the old man. Let's pacify the old man. Let's calm the old man down because if he declares martial law, well, then here we are, World War III. Well, I mean, not the World War III, sorry. Here we are, the Second Civil War. So there will be people in the administration who will want to calm him down, soothe him, and say to him, "Sir," because he loves to be called sir. "Sir, they're just the rabble in the street. You are the government. Remember who you are and what you came here to do." So that's how they'll pacify him. Here he is, up on his hind legs, scared, and so therefore aggressive. And the clarifiers are birds, coffin, and the young woman. I think there will be meetings again with his people, card for meetings, who will try to put him back in the box. This crazy man who's come out, they will try to tamp him down and make him more calm, yin. receptive. They're going to say things like, you're going to look like you don't have any control if you do martial law. Let the people have their little parties in the streets. Psst. What difference does it make? Does it change what we're doing? Not at all. That's what they'll tell him. So be yin about it. Let them have their fun. But they're saying it to keep him contained. There already have been meetings about this. Like, what are we going to do when Hegseth and Noam turn in their reports on Sunday and the reports say what we know they're going to say, which is, yeah, full steam ahead on that martial law thing, sir. What are we going to do? So they're meeting about this. How can we contain him? How can we make him more? How can we turn this into this? Okay. In the center, this is the prospect of martial law. He's really going to want to do it. He's going to say, yeah, let's do it. Now, I'm going to say this. I had to go with my instinct because you could read this two ways. You could say he makes the decision to go forward, but that's not the first thought that came to me. And when you read intuitively, you don't censor yourself. You don't say, oh, that doesn't make sense, Eric. It's got to be this other thing. No, you say what you think. And what intuitively came to me was I thought of a ship and I thought of a scythe and I thought of the ship's anchor being, um, no, you know what? If I had seen an anchor somewhere, I would say what I'm about to say, but I'm not about to say it. I think this is what this is. I think he will make a decision to go ahead with it. And people are going to be like, wait, what? And he'll say something like, let's do it when they least expect it. This is the card for decision because anchors get cut. That's what threw me. It was like, wait, Erica, anchors get cut by cutting instruments. And if an anchor is cut, then what happens to the ship? Full steam ahead. It goes ahead on its route. And if the route is to martial law, and we see the site there, he will want to do it. He will be really, really hard to contain. Interesting, though, that we have the book at the end of this particular center line. It's a little frustrating because the jury is out on whether he will be able to be contained, whether somebody will make an argument that makes sense to him as to why he should hold off. And as I said, this could easily refer to the fact that he says, they're expecting us to do it today. We're not going to do it today. We'll do it when they least expect it. Okay. So now we have two more lines. Here's Clover. And I told you when I was reading it with the cards, the horizontal line, it made me feel that he would be sort of off the cuff, hasty and mad, and say, well, look, they gave me permission, they advise it, so let's get going. Okay, but the clarifiers going vertically are different. They are the letter, the garden, and the scales. I think that, again, this is hastiness. This is the reports, and this is also a declaration that he makes to the public, saying that, law and order, like he cares about law and order, dictate that I keep our borders safe. And so, just so you know, I have been given permission to do whatever I need to do to keep our southern border safe. And so, therefore, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if I don't exercise martial law. In other words, I think he'll sell a wolf ticket, which is a very old expression from my youth. childhood, really. If you sold a wolf ticket, it meant that you made a threat. But a wolf ticket is a threat that you can't really keep. You can make the threat, but you're not going to make good on the threat. So I think that he will be pacified to the extent that he won't call martial law, but he will let everybody know, maybe in some sort of announcement. So, I've been given permission and I can do this anytime I want. So straighten up and fly right because I can declare martial law anytime. It's a threat. Okay. Here he is at the end of the line, and the cards to clarify it are stork, heart, and house. I think that it may be sufficient for him to have been given the go-ahead in these reports by Noam and Hegseth for now. I think that that will be sufficient for him, that he can threaten us with martial law, like out of his mouth. And then I pulled the three cards for the postscript. I have the crossroads, I have the child, and I have the star. So he won't call martial law, but he'll say, listen, just so you know, I have that alternative in my back pocket. Nah, 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 like a kid. You know, I can, I can tell on you anytime I want. What are you going to do for me so I don't tell? Like a kid would do, because he's holding this over our heads in the future. If we don't behave, he'll call martial law. So I don't think he will call it anytime soon. I think he will want to. I think he will be told that he can by Hegseth and Noam. And I think he will be uh, feeling the urge to do it because of demonstrations tomorrow. But I think that people will dissuade him from it. Not for all time, but they will say, sir, it's not the right time, sir. Don't let everybody see your hand, sir. Keep them guessing and worried with that book card, sir. But just let them know I have martial law on order, on offer, should you all not act right. So I think we're okay for now in terms of martial law. But forewarned is forearmed. Please be careful if you go out there tomorrow. Um, you know, if you are celebrating Easter, I'm just going to say that Jesus threw the moneylenders out of the temple because he thought they were committing usury, they were cheating people. Um, and he was mad. He turned the tables over and threw them out. So, righteous anger is a thing that Jesus, whose resurrection Christians celebrate on Sunday, would approve. I'm not saying violence is called for at any point on any level. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that uh, nonviolent resistance and opposition, it's always the right time for right action, as Martin Luther King would say. So, Easter notwithstanding, Easter should not be a reason why you say, well, I'm not going to go out there. It's Easter. Come on. Uh, you know, justice, justice, it's always the right time for right action, even on Easter Sunday and Easter Saturday and Good Friday. So, blessings of the season to those who celebrate, and blessings to the rest of us. And I will see you not tomorrow, but I will see you again soon. Take care.